This is the audio introduction to a film documenting the Distopias workshop held on the 16th of November 2021, funded by Arts Council England. The introduction lasts about 30 seconds, and the film itself is 7 minutes long. It's a snapshot of the workshop, which is held on Zoom. A series of 6 actors and theatre makers with disabilities speak direct to camera with ideas on a disability utopia, a dystopia. You'll also hear briefly from director Jenny Seeley and myself, Louise Fryer. First, John Kelly.
We need a whole tool bag of stuff that is about smashing the wall down, rebuilding, recreating.
My utopia definitely resides within other people, because when I think about spaces that I don't like being, like busy cities or crowded environments, when I really peel back another layer, it's kind of about people's attitude. Because if I saw a room absolutely packed full of my disabled artist colleagues, I would feel confident to walk into it because I know that they understand me and what I need. If I see a room packed full of strangers and people that I don't know, and I don't know how they're going to respond to me or behave, that's where my barrier comes.
I think it's that level of community, that sense of belonging, but that sense that actually being disabled, is a construct, a negative. It's not a negative thing. It's been a construct by other people that's created it as a negative thing. We are just who we are.
I've always been disabled, but it was only by meeting other people disabled that I became politicized. I became aware of my disability. It happened very quickly that I met people and suddenly I realised I wasn't on my own.
The one thing I would ask as well, and I'm slightly throwing a spanner in the works, is one person's utopia another person's ghetto?
Yeah.
Because it did strike me that you could argue that would be lovely, but if what we have is our own island, for instance, what does that mean? That's where we're stuck. Does that mean that where we have to stay? Beautifully accessible though it may well be, does that limit us?
That's a really fascinating.
Does that suit the rest of the world as well?
It is about the commonalities, and there are lots of experiences that aren't impairment related that are about people struggling with their journeys or whatever it is, about sexuality, whatever it is, culture, that kind of enrich I think one of the things I picked up about the pub, Jack's, was that idea that people come in, they bring difference with them, and that difference isn't rejected, it's kind of embraced. It's kind of that kind of utopia where it's not seen as, oh, this person is, because suddenly that person isn't the one person. They become part of a hippie kind of altogether kind of thing.
There's a world where I could recover and come out of that place a lot faster and be supported to not get to that place, to stay well. So I just wanted to sort of share the fact that in a utopia, like pain and mental pain as well might still be there, but it would be about how it was managed in a different way.
That whole, do we let non-disabled people in? Yes, we're all disabled people, but we live in a world when, we share our lives, our families, our experiences, our churches, our jobs, or whatever, or fact that some non-disabled person has to come in and help me get up every morning. We share our world with non-disabled people. And so I think it's, so not having the choice, the being sent to somewhere because we're disabled people may well be lovely as a short experience. Like Jamie said, I wouldn't mind going for a holiday, but I'm not sure I'd want to live there.
If you were to create like this utopia with these characters being sent off to another region, my first thought would be like, what makes part of community is our shared experience. And that would just, for me, I would be like, okay, what a disability and living with a disability or an impairment, as Bundy said, it's one part of my experience as well. And then there's other parts of my experience that if I wasn't surrounded by, other maybe, Black people or ethnic people or, like people of faith as well, like I would also feel ostracized and isolated.
A lot of disabled people who don't get on with me. So just the world on one island doesn't mean we're all gonna get on.
What's a mashup of Utopia and Dystopia mashed together for the third act, so that there's Dystopia. I don't know what it would be, but that's a third thing, a new made up way of being.
I'm just thinking about this 3-act structure because I can't help doing that. So second act is the social model where we lay out the perfect world, maybe politically, where small groups of people discuss and solve problems together, and physically it works, but there's this whole thing that there's been no choice, and that within that world people have been sent there. And maybe the third act is where that group goes back and takes over the original world and introduces a different way of living. I don't know, that's my third act.
Okay, job done.
Revolution.
Credits read: this film is part of the Distopias Project 2021, produced by Louise Fryer, featuring John Kelly, Kate Lovell, Mandy Redvers-Rowe, Jamie Bedard, Mandy Colleran, Jenny Seeley, Louise Fryer, and Brittany Virginia. Filmmaker Kate Dangerfield. Distopias was funded by Arts Council England.